Real IGL need kill. Yeah, man. I mean, I understand that the IGL is not gonna have like plus 15 at the end, but honestly, bro, why not? And I don't think he should get 9. You know, there's a middle ground.
Boaster is one of the most criticized pro players of all time. Although no one doubts his skills as an IGL, his mechanics and low kill numbers have always been under fire by the community. It's not rare to see numbers this low from Boaster in both wins and losses. Despite this, FNATIC have consistently remained a top team in the world under Boaster's in-game leadership. However, the public sentiment has always been that Boaster is getting carried by his teammates and doesn't actually have the mechanics to get kills. So in this video, we're going to uncover the truth behind Boaster's consistent bot fragging performances. Is his IGLing truly getting in the way, or are his mechanics as bad as everyone says? We'll also be talking about what Boaster can actually do to not only improve his own performance, but FNATIC's performances as a whole, so make sure to stay tuned until the end.
Oh, he's not. It's like watching a train wreck about to happen. Oh no! Oh no!
That is a train wreck.
Oh no, it was a train wreck!
Boaster has had his fair share of whiffs over the years, and even though these things happen to everyone, it did seem like it happened to him more often than others. But when we're seeing these moments and also seeing Boaster bot frag most of his games, it's really easy to create a narrative in your head that Boaster has bad mechanics. But is that really true? Let's start by looking at some clips of Boaster from 2023, when FNATIC was one of the best teams in the world. I'll play some of these clips for you and then break them down afterward. You can see that Boaster shoots quickly and sporadically, sort of in a panic state in every single fight. There's a general lack of control and steadiness in his crosshair movements, and you can see that he doesn't have a calmness or composure in his fights, which results in terrible first shot accuracy. This extends to his mechanics as a whole, like his movement choices for example, which are just as important as raw aim in Valorant. You can see that Boaster often crouched immediately, almost too early in his spraydowns, and he relied on this pattern a lot to fight. He earned a good amount of his kills through sprays rather than precise headshots, even in some of his best clips. But this type of gunplay severely limits his options, creates inconsistencies, and often locks him into only being successful in very specific situations. Compare Boaster's gunplay to his teammate Alpha, who moves his crosshairs steadily and confidently and goes for good first shot accuracy for most of his fights. This also enables Alpha to prioritize his movement, which greatly enables his ability to get multi-kills. Good movement means you are much harder to trade, and precise shots means you're way more efficient with your gun compared to crouch spraying. Spraydown situations definitely have their merit in certain situations, but generally speaking, the best mechanical players have always been players who are calm aimers that are able to weave in good movement in between accurate shooting. This simply gives you the widest range of options, which allow you to be effective in a lot of different situations throughout an entire game. So I think it's pretty clear that Boaster was weak mechanically in 2023, and I would even go as far to say he was probably one of the weakest mechanical players at the time, which is crazy because FNATIC was one of the best teams in the world. But this might have changed in 2024. At the end of 2023, Boaster publicly announced that he's looking for an aim coach to help him improve before the 2024 season. When you watch his gunplay today, it's vastly different from what it used to be.
Around, they wanted to get a little bit tricky with it, use a little bit of subterfuge, go through their own.
You can tell that his raw aim has improved in all aspects like smoothness, tracking, and flicks, but his mechanics from top to bottom have also all improved. Instead of sporadically shooting, you can see that he now takes his time to take his first shot. Take note that there isn't an immediate crouch spray each time he sees an enemy. He's taking his time to register his target, adjust, and shoot those clean shots. Even when he isn't expecting someone to peek and is caught off guard, he's built a better habit of staying calm and still subconsciously executing his aim. This results in him having way better movement options overall, which gives him the tools to succeed in many more scenarios than he used to. In this clip against Sentinels, look at how hard Boaster makes it for Sentinels to kill him. Boaster's stuck in the doorway with a molly in front of him, but he manages his movement options perfectly and somehow gets 2 kills in a position that is completely doomed. Boaster won this round for FNATIC off the back of his mechanics alone, and that's truly something new for him. There are still certain moments that look like classic Boaster moments, but even these clips are vastly different from before. At first glance, this clip looks like a big whiff on Raze, but if you watch closely, Boaster does not instantly crouch when he first shoots. In fact, he only begins to crouch when he loses control of his spray and Raze is about to start shooting back. I guarantee you that the old Boaster would have instantly crouched coming out of the smoke, and given Zekin's movement, would have probably lost the fight. Boaster's aim training seriously worked, because the game has slowed down for him to the point where he's able to see gunfights as an exchange with multiple options rather than a crouch spray and pray. He used to freak out seeing enemies and immediately start shooting, even if he wasn't in immediate danger. And now he's able to play out every situation more calmly and make good micro decisions even in chaotic situations. I looked at Boaster's performance since 2022, and you can see a clear improvement in his headshot rate over the years. In 2022, he had a headshot rate of 18.3%. This improved very slightly in 2023 to 19.1%, which is probably on par with how all players were getting better in general. But in 2024, Boaster's headshot rate jumped to 22.8%, which was a significant improvement from 2023. Headshot rate is not everything, because each role implies different situations that don't always mean you can go for the headshot. But when we take this into account, combined with the actual clips we looked at, Boaster's mechanics are clearly improving, and it's much more on par with the level in Tier 1 than it used to be. Okay, so Boaster's mechanics in 2024 no longer seem like a blatant problem for him or FNATIC, but then why is he still bot fragging almost every single match? Could it really be his IGLing? It's undeniable that IGLs have to spend way more brainpower worrying about the tactics and strategy going on. This will definitely pull your attention away from your screen, and you can even see in this clip we saw earlier where Boaster is surprised by a push from mid. He was actually looking at the minimap moments earlier. But every IGL has to deal with this. Why is someone like G2's Valen able to top frag many of his games while IGLing? The secret isn't in the IGL role itself, but the sub-roles and tendencies of each player. Valen has always been a strong fragger who is confident in playing spots and making calls which rely on him winning those fights. He doesn't shy away from putting himself in the spots to make these plays, and the truth is, this is the right call to make a lot more than you think. Here's a round from G2's match on Lotus against PaperX at Champs. G2 are on an eco and are taking A in response to PaperX pushing C. They're able to clear the opping jet out of A with good utility usage, but here's where things get interesting. Valen has the bomb and the site is clear, so obviously he walks to the plant spot, but suddenly he realizes that they have a timing to punish the jet who is still by herself. Despite having the bomb, he has one of the best positions to make the push, and this single decision completely changes the state of the round for G2 and allows them to win a huge eco to close out the game. I really can't see Boaster making the same type of decision that Valen did if he were in the same situation. Here's a clip from FNATIC's match against Sentinels on Lotus. FNATIC are given full control of A, which evolves into a 3v3 post plant. Boaster Omen ults Heaven to get info, but completes it because it looks clear. Instead of holding this very important control himself and trusting that he can manage it alone, he immediately falls back to drop, showing a lack of confidence. Hero is eventually called over to try and help create a crossfire with Boaster, but the original setup they had with Hero and Alpha playing together towards site was fine and possibly better. Boaster somehow ends up as the last one alive despite starting out in a position where he should have been the linchpin of FNATIC's post plan. Even if Boaster's mechanics have objectively improved, he still has a bad tendency to shy away from these playmaking positions and often puts himself in situations where he isn't able to get kills or impact the round. But there are two ways to look at what Boaster is doing. On one hand, you can say that in many situations, he's actively putting his teammates ahead of himself and giving himself the toughest roles.
Go kill my son.
Not only does he plant the bomb in a good number of rounds, but he commits to being the clutch player. In this pistol round against Sentinels on Sunset, FNATIC end up hitting A, and Sentinels have decided to play a full retake against them. FNATIC are planning to take an initial fight on site as Sentinels are trying to take control of the bomb. You can see that everyone else on FNATIC gets involved in this fight except for one person. Boaster is just sitting in the back the entire time, committed to playing the clutch for FNATIC, and playing this position just means you will never get any easy kills. The round will either be over before you have a chance to kill anyone, or your kills will be very hard to get. The same thing also happens on defense to an extent, where Boaster is completely fine giving himself the worst positions. In this clip, the entire FNATIC team is 4-stacked to fight for A, but Boaster is alone on B playing weak side by himself. This type of setup means that Boaster has terrible chances at kills, because regardless of where Sentinels decide to go, Boaster is going to have to play retake. He doesn't even have a chance in this round because Sentinels are aggressive, and he gets swarmed by utility with no chance to do anything. This could be seen as Boaster being a selfless IGL, which is definitely true to an extent, but a more critical way to look at this is that Boaster is limiting his own potential and FNATIC's potential as a whole by calling and playing this way. Usually we'll see Sentinel agents play the weak side because they have the best tools and can still make plays off their util, but Boaster called multiple rounds this match where he purposely puts himself on the weak side. Furthermore, FNATIC is one of the only teams in the world that still plays Astra so often, and it's probably because it enables this playstyle where Boaster can sacrifice his own positions and still be useful to his team. You'll often see him take the worst buys for his team, leaving him with bad tools to frag, which just buys into this idea that his teammates are the ones who will find kill impact and need the guns instead of him. So even though Boaster has improved individually, it feels like he's still got a self-fulfilling prophecy that he's bad mechanically and provides value in being the sacrifice for his team. But the thing is, today's championship winning teams must be able to fire on all cylinders regardless of if you're the IGL or not. I challenge Boaster and everyone watching this video to think about the true nature behind this round. Boaster is set up to play the weak side again, and this time with a Bulldog, because even though he had enough to buy a rifle, he swapped his gun with someone else. Boaster is holding a very safe angle just for info in A main. Sentinels contact up A main, and Boaster immediately falls back to play retake after he spots Sentinels. The retake completely falls apart, and Boaster again has given up all his individual chances to get kills and impact the round himself. It definitely made sense for Durka and Alpha to have rifles in this round as they were fighting for B main. But Hero also had one this round, even though he was playing a passive position on B and was on his cam most of the round to set up for the trap in B main. Now think about what if Boaster took the rifle and committed to fighting for A main. It seems like a bad play, but you need to also understand the potential upsides of taking this challenge. Firstly, you don't know who you might end up killing and what utility you're taking away. FNATIC only have 3 rifles this round, so you want to make sure you're maximizing the value out of them, and taking this fight in A main is probably one of the better chances you'll get to do that. Tactically speaking, Sentinels are feeling more and more confident in taking free space. They don't have to deal with a real fight in A main because Boaster's just playing for info. At the same time, Boaster is losing his confidence individually because he keeps giving up his own opportunities. You might think that by falling back, you're playing smarter and making the correct play, but if you do this all the time and are continuously sacrificing for your team, you actually end up restricting yourself, and your entire team's ceiling lowers as a whole. The best weak side players in the world always have a good mix of aggressive plays mixed in with their passive rounds. Of course, there are going to be some rounds that they throw, but there are equally as many rounds that these players win all by themselves just because of the plays they make, and this becomes overall net positive for the teams they're on. On the other hand, it feels like Boaster puts himself on the weak side because he lacks individual confidence and feels like it's the best position for him to sacrifice for his team. From what I've seen this year, I firmly believe that it's no longer Boaster's actual mechanics that hold him and FNATIC back. It's actually his mentality. He needs to lean more into these individual moments and be more comfortable making the quote-unquote wrong team call more often. This way he can practice relying on his mechanics to get multi-kills and play to win certain rounds off his mechanics alone rather than just his game knowledge and intuition. Over time, this will open up the types of calls that Boaster makes, the positions that he and everyone else are free to play, and also enable Boaster's playmaking potential as a whole. Boaster shouldn't be the one planting the bomb or playing weak side or taking the worst gun just because he's the IGL or just because he thinks his teammates can do more than him. He just needs to believe a little bit more that he can be the one to carry a round or a game off his mechanics alone. And he needs to step up to that in order for FNATIC to reach the top of the world again. Hopefully, we'll all get to see some of that in 2025. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.